Could you be a deer and pass me a beer? Be a deer, pass me a beer. And I'll open it with this permanent marker, this pen. I'm going to open a beer with a pen. This permo marker. Thank you.
Not sponsored.
We're not, are we? Something else shit. Cheers, everyone. So nearby Josh, what do you know about Transformers?
I know it is one of the biggest childhood franchises of all.
It's the best. Few characters in fiction have eaten as much shit as Optimus Prime, to the point where he's canonically died 36 times. Like, did you know?
36?
He's canonically died 36 times, yeah. He has like a dozen canon deaths just in the comics alone. Like, I think one of the deaths that he had was, like, he cheats in a video game, and he's so overcome with, like, you know, the grief of dishonor that he just murders himself. He's like, I can't do it. I can't live in a world where I cheated.
Oh my god!
Yeah. However, arguably his most famous death came in the Transformers the movie, and I hate that it's called that. In your head it's Transformers the movie, but because Transformers is a brand, it's actually the Transformers the movie. A death that saw children across the world crying their little eyes out, and that the studio insisted upon to sell more toys. So that number of deaths might be wrong depending on whether or not he's died recently, but the Transformers wiki has this like great breakdown of all the times Optimus Prime died, and it's like at least 36 times.
Like, I know that comic books have a real tendency of trying to refresh things by murdering their main character.
Yes.
But why do they think killing Optimus is the way to go?
Because it's dramatic, and it allows you... That's the thing, is when Optimus Prime dies, then he can come back with a new body. And what's a new body mean? That means a new toy! And I think they should do that with everything. So I was talking earlier today with one of my friends about like Terminator Dark Fate, and I went, I didn't like it at first because the opening 5 minutes they shoot John Connor in the face with a shotgun. But after thinking about it, I wish more movies open with the main character of the previous movie being shot in the face with a shotgun, just to see what that'd do to the industry. Do you remember that film, Brad? Like when I told you about that and you were like, baff, like, wait, they just shoot John Connor in the face with a shotgun in the first 30 seconds. Like, no, it's legit, the opening scene of the movie is CGI John Connor, and it's just like you said, hi, Mom.
The weird thing about it, though, is that they've spent so much money recreating like the characters identical to how they were, just to fucking shoot him in the face.
And you know what? I respect it. That's the thing, is like, the fact that they went to that effort to shit on Terminator 2 is like a move I respect. And in that vein, what movie would you like to get that treatment of just, they're going to release a sequel to it, but the first 5 minutes of the sequel is the main character fucking dying? So that's like the balls to do it.
John Wick. Because then the name means nothing.
You know what? But it should be like, you should just die by falling down the stairs. I remember like watching that film, and like the final big shootout is this staircase shootout, and it's like one of the most immaculately choreographed things I've ever seen. And I was like, how the fuck are they going to top this? And he gets all the way to the top, and then someone kicks him down the stairs, but he rolls so long and you can tell that the stuntman was like really putting their all into it. When you don't think he's going to come to a complete stop, he suddenly gets more momentum out of nowhere. Then he has to fight his way back to the top again. And you know it's the best part of the movie because the studio released a 10-hour cut of that scene. It's just got like Keanu Reeves falling down the stairs for 10 hours. What do you ever think, like, what film would you just want to like, just shoot the main character in the face?
Technically not a main character, but very pivotal to the plot of the whole movie franchise.
Yep.
Imagine if they just shot Andy at the beginning of Toy Story 2.
No, just Woody being thrown into a fucking trash bag or something.
Oh, just gets stood on, and the rest of the film is Woody with a flat head.
Just the opening of the movie is just a home invasion gone wrong. Takes a very, very dark turn.
I mean, the second one literally hasn't been stolen, so they could have done that.
But bringing it back to Optimus Prime, he has died a lot. So much, in fact, that he canonically died before he was Optimus Prime. Because before he was Optimus Prime, he's like just some random Transformers jobber who gets killed and then resurrected as Optimus Prime. So Optimus Prime died before he became Optimus Prime. Also, yeah, the Jesus allegory, because you know what? Robo-Jesus. So, the thing is though, right, we always make fun of Transformers. I love Transformers. But we always say, you know, it's designed to sell toys. And whenever we say that, there's always a subset of like people who like Transformers who get mad about it because they really like Transformers too. And during my research, I found like a lot of interviews with people who were really affected by his death because they saw Optimus Prime as a father figure, which is really funny because he's just a robot. But it's mostly to do with like the characterization Peter Cullen gave him. But they say, like, yeah, just his voice. It's like, you know, it's like he's stern, he's firm, but he's fair. Like, he's authoritative, but gentle and compassionate and caring. And if you go back and watch some of those earlier like cartoons and the films and stuff, yeah, they're dumb. But some of the speeches that Optimus gives are really good. That was like a quote someone singles out of like one of the greatest, most badass lines ever spoken in a courtroom scene is like, how can I be held in contempt of court when I have nothing but contempt for this court? And it's the Transformers movie. It's like, why is that so weirdly like poetic? And it's just a fucking robot saying it.
Try silence, or you'll be held in contempt of this court. I have nothing but contempt for this court.
So you got any like favourite like cool quotes from like seemingly dumb characters? So one for me is there's a really poignant quote from like the Hulk in one comic where he just sat down talking to his own shadow and it's like, why does everyone attack Hulk? Hulk just wants a friend. And it's like he's sat and his shadow comes off the wall and kicks the shit out of him.
I mean, whilst technically not dumb, it's from a source you don't expect.
Yeah.
And it did make the rounds on the internet a few years ago. But Mewtwo coming to the realization at the end of a first movie, it isn't how you're born or where you come from that makes you a person, it's your own actions.
The circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are.
Yeah, that's the thing. What is it with like kids media? Someone's having like the rawest fucking quotes. Like Optimus Prime's like, you know, like freedom is the basic right of all sentient life before you just like fucking backhands Megatron through a wall. But like, you know, I love the Transformers for that. And so to those fans who get annoyed when we make fun of Transformers, it's designed to sell toys. That doesn't mean it's not good. It's just that's an objective fact. They made it to sell toys. The reason they killed Optimus off is to keep making new toys. Like, so do you remember the Transformers the movie at all? Because like his death scene is very iconic, but there's a lot of people like misremember the sort of Mandela effect goes on with it.
I only remember the Robot Chicken version.
Okay. Doesn't mean it's been parodied a lot.
It's been so long since I watched it.
Well, you can see the visual in your head, can't you? Him like lying on the table and turning grey.
Yeah.
A very iconic image. And there's a lot of people out there remembering like crumbling to dust. And that's like, as I said, like a Mandela effect thing, because that's how Starscream dies. So people like kind of conflate the two in their head and they remember that Optimus Prime like crumbling away into dust as they like cried their eyes. I was like, no, he fades away. But the thing that like blew my mind when I researched that he dies 20 minutes into the movie. It's 20 minutes in, like the first, like before you even got to the first half an hour, the main character is dead. And you think, and he doesn't come back. That's what makes it crazy. Like, do you think that's the perfect setup? Is he comes back at the end of the film, all powered up with a new body? It's like, no, they just fucking straight up killed him in the first 20 minutes. And it's like, it came as such a shock to people because those original Transformers cartoons, people died all the time and just got rebuilt because they're fucking robots. So the idea that they killed Optimus Prime and then just didn't bring him back was like hilarious to me.
But he did come back.
He did come back, yeah, but not in the film.
All right.
And it's like, no, I think like the opening like few minutes of the movie as well, it's just like, oh, here's like, what's the fucking big robot in that called now? Unicron. Just like lasering a Transformers planet. And it's like drawn in the most ridiculous level of detail. There's these tiny, there's actual like robotic Transformer children who get obliterated to dust. It's like, why is this movie going so fucking raw? What's going on?
I'm just checking, but I think the voice of Unicron is Tony J.
No, it's Orson Welles. It's Orson Welles because he recorded it on his deathbed.
Oh yeah, no, it says someone's put here. He would have been perfect as Unicron, but yeah, no, I remember it was somebody with a famous voice.
Yeah, he recorded it on his deathbed. It was the last thing he did.
His last role.
Yeah, his last role was Unicron in the Transformers movie.
That's what we all remember him as.
To be fair, he did a really
Even
good
though
job.
I just got it wrong.
He did a really good job. And like he was like happy to work on it. And when someone asked him, like, oh yeah, I just did this like this fun cartoon. I play a robot of some kind. And then it turns out that robot fucking murks everybody. But yeah, just the fact that like, they went to Orson Welles, like, and we're talking about the like peak sellout Orson Welles here, like when he was doing like that advert for Peas, or the wine one that Brad loves so much. Where he's like,
what was true nearly a century ago is still true today. Paul Masson will sell no wine before it's time.
Because like we did a video a while back that was like, was it Orson Welles Didn't Give a Fuck?
Yeah.
Like, one of those ones. And he was the one who they did that. Was it Alan Dr. Moreau?
Yeah.
And,
No, that was Marlon Brando.
That was Marlon Brando.
He wore, like, the ice
There's so
bucket.
many of these diva actors we've done videos on before.
We saw that Orson Welles was a diva. It's just he didn't care because he's awesome. He's like, whenever anyone criticised, like, I wrote Citizen Kane. He's like, okay, he did write Citizen Kane.
No, he was the one who told people to fuck off, wasn't he?
Yeah. He always like sign all of his like letters saying. You can watch the video on it if you're interested, folks. But the Cliff Notes version is that Orson Welles would sign all of his fan mail as "fuck off."
That's right.
Sorry. Go and fuck yourself. This is a story from an actor who wrote in fan mail, and they got a letter back a few weeks later that just said, "I don't care. Go and fuck yourself, Orson Welles."
I would frame it.
You would, wouldn't you? You didn't give a shit. He's like, again, because I wrote Citizen Kane. And what?
You can't. You can't drift on a one success your entire life.
You can when it's Citizen Kane.
Who thought it was such a perfect idea to kill your main character in the first 20 minutes?
It was the studio, because the writers did not want to kill Optimus Prime, because they, like, when they were told, okay, so this movie, wipe the slate clean, kill all the Transformers, because we want to do a new season with new Transformers to sell new toys. And the writers were like, that's probably not a good idea. So you could probably get away with killing a couple of them, but don't do it to Optimus Prime. A lot of kids like Optimus Prime. Like, we're inundated with fan mail every week from people who like love Optimus Prime. I mentioned like a lot of people have like, you know, a warm familiarity for the character, for the voice, because they, you know, they saw him as like a fatherly figure. So, you know, it's a dumb show, but, you know, kids were attached to Optimus Prime, and the writers knew that. It's like, don't kill Optimus Prime, and if you're gonna do it, bring him back. Like, no, fuck it, he's just a robot. Who gives a shit? Kill it. Why would you care? We'll make a new one. They'll learn to love that new character instead. Do it. And the writer's like, I guess we better kill Optimus Prime.
Sorry, kids. Daddy's going away.
No, to their credit though, Optimus Prime goes down like a fucking boss.
Well, you said he goes out changing colour to grey.
Well, that's after he's been, like, you know, fatally wounded. But he goes down like a fucking boss because he does the Optimus thing of, oh no, there's like an entire army in front of us, whatever we do. I was like, fucking hell. I've got to do it all myself again. You know, this like sick, awesome like scene where he just like basically runs in, fights an entire army on his own, double backhands Megatron, and they get shot in the back.
One of the shorts I did recently was about when you talked about how Optimus Prime just lets all of the Autobots go in to level up his opponents so he gets more XP and better weapons when he kills them.
Well, he basically does, because I don't think there's a single one of those Transformers movies, that, like the live action ones at least, that doesn't end with like, okay, all the Autobots are dead except Optimus Prime. Like the one in the forest, like the one in like Transformers 2 in the forest, where Optimus kills like 5 high-level Decepticons in 40 seconds.
He does then get killed himself.
He does, but he gets stabbed in the back.
But then he gets resurrected, gets a better weapon.
Yeah, which is what you'd expect to happen. But yeah, and apparently that was like Peter Cullen. That was like a request from him. Of like...
Well, I don't want to do as much voice acting in this one.
No, he's getting stabbed in the back. Because you know, I think Megatron says something along the lines of, you're weak or something like that. And Peter Cullen's like, I don't like him saying that after Optimus has whooped that much ass. Can you have him say it in like a more like sneery way after he stabs me in the back? Does something cowardly. Because he called for, like, you know, like Megatron to beat him one-on-one and call him a coward. It's like, I don't like that because no one's beating Optimus one-on-one. It's never gone well for anybody who's ever tried doing that.
What was the fallout of killing Optimus Prime so soon?
It was severe and immediate, and there are stories from like people who went to review the movie, and it didn't review very well because it's a kids' movie to sell toys. Like I say, it's not a knock on its quality, it just didn't review well. But all the reviews are like, from the moment he dies, all you heard was crying children. Just crying children the entire way through the film, and the studios were inundated with like letters from parents like, why the fuck did you kill that stupid robot? My kid's been crying. Like, do you know that meme of like, oh thanks, kids crying, great. Like, there was apparently one kid who locked himself in his bedroom for 2 weeks because Optimus was dead. We say, no, what are you doing, Brad?
Sorry.
I can just hear, he's just in my fridge nicking my shit. What are you doing?
You said make yourself at home, so I'm not gonna leave it.
What are you doing? Oh, you're getting a beer.
I'll make myself a salad.
No, I just heard like you opening, like rustling and opening bags of stuff. What are you doing? So all I could see from my perspective is Brad crouched down in my fridge.
When we first started this channel, I was so professional, and now in the middle of recording, just going in your fridge and stealing shit.
Oh man, The thing is, though, it's the loudest thing in the world. There's nothing louder than someone trying to be quiet. It's like, I think like the loudest thing I've ever heard is when I came in drunk once and I dropped my electric toothbrush in the sink. It was the loudest thing I've ever I don't know why, but it went mental. It was all over. Couldn't grab it. Like, kids were crying, they were upset, they were inconsolable. There were mass writing campaigns from parents and kids of bring Optimus back, which they did eventually. But they didn't initially plan to do it. Their plan was, well, we're going to kill all the Autobots and just make new ones next season. And the writers, that's a bad idea. People are attached to these things. Well, why would they be attached to them? They're just stupid toys. They're kids. Let's just use ourselves as examples. Was there a toy you were weirdly attached to as a kid, Josh?
Well, yeah, it was a collection of wrestling figures.
Yeah.
They were my pride and joy.
Exactly, and that's the thing, you can't choose what, become attached to as a kid. So I always think of that great picture out there, that little kid who just got weirdly attached to this fucking owl. Do you know those things you put on to scare away birds? You put a fake plastic owl on your house. And just the kid's just holding this owl. And it's my kid loves it, they won't put it down, I don't know why. Or was that other one about the kid who was obsessed with a lawyer commercial on TV? So they wrote to the guy's office.
Was it Saul Goodman?
No, it was just some local lawyer. And they wrote to him, this is weird, but my kid loves your adverts. And every time you come on TV, his face lights up. Can you possibly send us something, with your face on? A signed photo or something. And his office sent all of his commercial equipment, a cardboard cutout and everything. They just had this random lawyer-themed birthday party, and the kid's fucking loving it. Yeah, it reminds me of a great interview with Don LaFontaine. He was the voiceover guy who did a joke that, in a world, that dude. He was the movie trailer voice guy. No, you'd recognise his voice, and it's the voice that everyone imitates. So when you hear a movie trailer with a voiceover, they're mimicking that guy.
This summer, like that guy.
Yeah, and that's what they're emulating when they do it. And he was asked once, well, how many projects have you done? Rough numbers, thousands. And they asked him, well, you've been the voiceover for these trailers for some really iconic movies, but you also done a lot of bad ones. What do you do when you get a really bad script? Because one of the things that he'd do is he was so prolific, he was allowed to make changes and stuff when he gets some early review copies, so he could pick through details that he might want to add to the script or have for you. And he just had a really good way of looking at it. Well, when I'm doing a voiceover for a bad movie, I don't see it as a bad movie. I see it as that's someone's favourite movie. It might not be the greatest quality-wise, but someone out there really likes that movie. It's their favourite movie. I'm talking to them. And I just really like the attitude of it. I might not think it's very good, but someone out there loves it. I know there's some kid out there whose favourite movie is Trolls 2. Or the Emoji Movie or something like that. Some kid out there was probably obsessed with that movie and watched it on repeat as a kid.
On that topic then, what do you think is the most unlikely film to be considered somebody's favourite? So it can't be something that's really bad, because people like bad films.
Yeah.
Or really good. It's got to be the most middle-of-the-road, boring, never made any impact film you can think of.
Probably what I watched the other day, weirdly enough, because I just had a movie night with a friend. And we watched this movie called Frogs, and it's a horror movie about frogs. And it's shot on video, terrible acting, terrible quality, but that'd be someone's favourite movie. Because that's the thing, is the amount of creature features that were probably released in the 70s and 80s, that probably that exact film with a different animal as the antagonist is you wouldn't be able to count them all. But someone out there probably really likes frogs. If you are one of those people, let us know. If you suddenly got big hype to hear me mention the film Frogs, let me know. How about you?
Least likely to be someone's
it's
favourite.
difficult to think of something that's so... Because it has to be middle of the road.
Well, what's the middle of the road thing that you like the most then? Because I've spoke at length before about my love the Power Rangers movie, for example, which is a very mediocre film.
The Power Rangers movie is awesome.
But it's so cheesy and so 90s and so camp, and you can tell that everyone making it was having so much fun. The guy who did Ivan Ooze is clearly having a fucking laugh when he's doing it.
Teenager.
Every line of dialogue is fucking hilarious because it's delivered so earnestly.
Smells like teenagers.
There's a genre of films or TV shows that I always really like, and it's ones that have an interesting concept to explore. And which one is it? Premonition? The one where it's a film, it might be Sandra Bullock, but it's a famous actress. I think Gillian McMahon plays the husband.
Okay.
And it's where every single day she wakes up, it's a different day of the same week. And so she experiences the death of her husband.
So isn't that just waking up?
No.
Every day she wakes up, it's a new day. Oh my god!
Obviously, there's more. It's the timeline jumps around.
Okay.
So she'll wake up and it'll be Saturday. Then she'll go to sleep and wake up and it'll be Monday. And so, like, she gets a future version of a day where she finds out her husband's dead, and then wakes up and he's there again. And it's like she has to figure out, is there a way to prevent his death? And then uncovers more as it goes on. I like ones that have unique concepts. Yeah, there's a lot of films like that they might not be good films, but when you watch it, you're like, at least it's interesting.
Someone was trying, and it was the guy who wrote the script. So that's probably why they should probably pay people who write scripts a decent amount of money. But
Politics, huh?
it's not really, they're paying people a living wage. Anyway, so Josh, like, what's a pretty mediocre movie that you love?
I think the general consensus is it's mediocre. Maybe it's bad, but it's The Scorpion King.
Thing is that I kind of like The Scorpion King, just for that one bit, where like the whole thing is, his bow and arrow is so strong. And he pulls but then they have that bit right at the end where he pulls it back just a little bit more, and the setup. Scorpion King has got a really strong bow, but then the main villain can catch an arrow. It's like, I wonder what the final confrontation of this film's gonna be.
So this is a good time to reveal. I have purchased the Scorpion King 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I intend to make a video where I watch them and review them.
Scorpion
There's
King?
5 of them.
They made 5 of those things?
Right, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, if you know them. I believe number 2, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is replaced by Randy Couture.
I don't know the actor, but it's a prequel, is the second one.
It's a prequel to a prequel.
So if you don't know, Brad, Randy Couture was
Rise of a Warrior is the second one. Carry on.
Randy Couture is a former UFC heavyweight champion.
So a good actor then, yeah?
Number 3, I believe, is Dave Bautista before he went into Hollywood properly.
Is Batista in one?
Yeah.
I guess I'll find this out when I do my review.
I love that.
Subscribe to Break Brad.
It was like that breakdown sort of like, it's such a shame that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson became like the wrestling actor guy when Dave Bautista and John Cena are fucking killing it in every project they're in. So I watched Peacemaker recently, and I was just so impressed by John Cena's performance. You see, he's going to be in like Mortal Kombat now. Like fucking John Cena's going to be in Mortal Kombat.
Oh, I hope
Peacemaker
so.
specifically, isn't it?
No, he is. Yeah, it's Peacemaker. So it's John Cena's face. He's going to be fighting Omni-Man and Homelander. It's like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Is he doing the voice?
He must do. That's the thing. Like he's so charming in that thing. It's like we're talking about Transformers. He's in the Bumblebee movie, and he has the best line in it of like, why are we listening to these things? They're literally called Decepticons. It's like, and he's the only person to notice that, and like they just overrule him. He's like, why are we listening to these things? They're clearly evil.
Bringing it slightly back round, how do you feel that Bumblebee is one of, if it's not it's one of the highest critically acclaimed Transformers movies?
It's a good movie. Yeah. I really like the Bumblebee movie.
It's weird what happens when you take the guy who just loves explosions out of the picture.
Let's say the first Transformers movie was okay from like a CGI standpoint. The CGI was really, and there's a really great interview with the people who did the CGI, where they talk about how they had to make the CGI worse. Because initially they were going to have they got actual experts on mechanics and engineering in, so that when they transformed, all of the stuff that was on the robot would be present on there, so they'd occupy the same amount of space. They'd have the same mass, but it made them really small, and Michael Bay's went make them bigger. So they worked out, okay, so Optimus Prime's this truck, so what if the Transformer actually existed and transformed, what would it look like? And they did that, and then Michael Bay came in and make it bigger. So they just fuck it, make it bigger.
They are very big.
Yeah. Well, initially they were a lot smaller, but they would have occupied the same amount of mass. It's like they're fucking alien robots, who gives a shit, make them bigger. Which they do a lot, apparently. It's like Cloverfield. Yeah. I did the Statue of Liberty head scene, that really iconic shot. In the initial trailer, it was the exact size it would be, but everyone online complained that it was too small. Because in their head, the Statue of Liberty is bigger, so they use CGI to make the head bigger, and therefore more unrealistic, but it's more realistic to people's expectations of reality, which are unrealistic. It's like when people go see the Mona Lisa, everyone in their head thinks...
It's fucking tiny,
it's like an A4 piece of paper size. Yeah. People in their head think the Mona Lisa's massive, but it's not. It's no bigger than a sheet of paper. I just found that really interesting, that people do that, and they complain that the film was unrealistic because it was too realistic.
Somewhere in the comments right now, somebody's screaming that we're not talking about Transformers enough. You clicked on this video because it has Optimus Prime in the title.
And like, if you just look, and I think I have to mention like Transformers Devastation, just on the discs. If you look at the discs, you got like Devastator on the front. And look what happens if I put my finger through like in there. That has to be. That's got to be on purpose, right? The little Devastator dong. How do they not know?
Those Buzz Lightyear toys have the straw where the knob is. It's like somebody knew.
And just like the caption's always, it's not going to suck itself. Yeah. Optimus Prime fucking died.